good to go?
Yeah, good to go.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening and watching from. And of course, when you're going to be seeing this, we'll be in season 4. So I do invite you to have a look at the 3 previous seasons. There may be some topics or some guests on there that may resonate a little bit more with your reality. They are timeless episodes. So I do invite you to go check that out. And don't forget to like them and share if you think that you have a friend or family member that could benefit from them. So I'm going to jump right in. I have the wonderful Angèle Lamothe with me today. We're going to be talking about her book. I don't have it with me. I left it in the other room, so she'll show it to us on the screen. But thank you so much, Angèle, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored, and I look forward to seeing what we co-create today
I,
together.
I'm really excited. So you do have your book, Frequency Effect. If you can show it up, there it is, The Frequency Effect. We'll talk about it a little bit more. It is available on Amazon. We'll give more details. But can you little before we? Oh, there it is. Now we can see it really nice. For those who are not seeing it, I check it on Amazon if you're not looking at the video or you're just listening to the audio. Before we get started, can you talk to us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Yes. So I've worked in acute care for 23 years with cancer patients, end of life patients, palliative care patients, and so supporting them in their journey of what life looks like for them after some difficult moments, and so how we can always find perspective, how we can always find um, new views and different ways when we are faced with difficult moments. Those are not moments that we wish on anyone. However, we all go through difficult moments, and it's how we choose to navigate them. They're there no matter what. I also navigated my own journey with my oldest in hospital 3.5 years. And so this is where my book comes in. And this is where I transitioned into, wow, being a coach and coaching over hundreds of people into enrolling them into their best lives and choosing gratitude and choosing what we want to create no matter what is going around us. And I really deepened that belief, that surrendering, that trusting, that reality that we create no matter what, and that always starts within. And so,
Yeah.
wrapping it up, right now I work 2 days at the hospital, and I mostly coach high individual or high achievers who are looking at living, extraordinary lives anywhere and everywhere. And that's, like I mentioned earlier, it starts within. It starts with the choices that we make in moment to moment. And so it's not a destiny, it's not perfection, it's just really moment to moment. How can I be a better person, a better human, how can I respond better in this moment? Because no one's perfect. And so it's having that awareness. And yeah, so that's pretty much that's me in a nutshell at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I really appreciate about your work as well, is just the fact that when we're going through these challenges, no matter what that looks like to the listeners, we do go into reaction mode and we're just thinking about we need to find a solution. So we're looking for solutions outside of ourselves. We're not taking time to kind of ground ourselves or to anchor ourselves. And so we just kind of get tossed around a little bit. So this is what I like is the fact that you're going within and that can go, you don't have to go through a big tragedy either. It's just an everyday, especially as a parent, you're going through challenges every day. So what is it for, how can you, I'm trying to find my words here just to see, because like you say, there's the things outside of yourself you can't really control
Mm.
necessarily. So what is your take or how do you walk your clients through being able to work on your reactions, on your thoughts? Like, how do you kind of take control of yourself as opposed to trying to control everything outside of you?
Yeah, so I'll start as a parent since,
Yeah.
I mean, that extends everywhere in our lives. And so there are, in life, as you mentioned, there are so many things, especially, I mean, you don't have to be a parent. It can be in a relationship, it can be your relationship at work. You don't need to be a parent. However, when we start wanting to control, and I mean, we're human, it's normal for us to want to control the outcome. We want to protect, there's so much information out there, and we want the best for our kids, the best for everyone. But when we recognize that in that control. So I'll use a very simple example like falling, having your kid fall versus, your child in hospital. You can't, there are so many things you can't control. And so you can drive yourself mad, crazy, even sick, trying to control all of the factors that you don't have control over. And so coming back to inside, what can you control in the moment? You can control how you respond, you can control your emotions, you can control how you perceive the situation and what you decide to engage in. And so gratitude was a big one for me. And we're not talking about perfection here. Again, when we say controlling our emotions, it's absolutely normal to have those big emotions and to lose our control at times, and that's quite normal. So it's coming back to, wow, I lost my control in that moment, or I got emotional, or I said something I regretted. We're human. And so it's coming back to that space and recognizing, okay, why did I lose control? Why? What triggered? What was that for me? And then trying again the next time. We're just bettering again and again. And so what I recognize is when you have that space, when you give yourself that space, so that time, it basically creates a buffer, I'll say a space between your reaction time. And so when we're
Yeah.
triggered, we're like life is a series of we're all going through life doing our best. And there's certain things that, especially when it comes to our kids, yeah, it can be triggering, it can be upsetting. There's lots of beautiful joy and lots of gratitude, but there are those moments where yeah, we're triggered because we're human. And so coming back to that space, and when we have the awareness, when we're aware of our feelings, when we're aware of, okay, how can I navigate this? And when we give ourselves that space, so whatever that looks like for you, so I always want to fill my cup first, that
Mm.
energetic bank. I talk about energetic bank accounts with my clients. So making sure that yours is full so that you can give fully from a place of selflessness to others. And so coming back to that buffer space, when you have a reserve, you're less you're less tempted, I'll say tempted, to react from that space because you can take a pause, reflect, and say, okay, how do I want to respond in this moment? And again, it's not about perfection. You can change at any moment. You can apologize. You can come back to your kids, your partner, your whoever you were interacting with, and say, that was my best moment, my best performance. And recognize that, and I'll try better next time. I'll try better next time. And so,
I like that. I like the fact that you have such an approach of we're not perfect because as parent, well, I
mhm.
mentioned parents, but as human beings in general, we try to always look at it as, oh, well, I made a mistake. This is, what's wrong with me? But you have such a gentle approach to, hey, it's gonna happen. This is the reality of it, and life isn't easy. So let's make it easier on ourselves. I also like the visual that you give of the bank account, the energetic account. It's such a great visual for me because if you do have an emergency and the bank account is empty, you go in a panic, right? But when you do have a buffer, you're like, oh, okay, it's not fun, but we can manage. I really like that. I did want to ask you because I find specifically nowadays, gratitude, surrendering, these are words that are being tossed around a lot, and many people, you know, look at it more of a kumbaya type of thing, like, oh, thank you for making my life harder type of approach. But that's not what gratitude is or what surrendering is. Doesn't mean that you're letting go of your boundaries or your time for yourself. So can you give us a little outlook of the way you present it and how it's presented in your book, as well as to how can we start with the true gratitude when you're going through it and it's taking everything out of you just to find the positive moments in your life. Can you walk us through it a little bit?
I'll start with gratitude and then I'll move into surrendering. Surrendering to me, here I am saying we'll go to surrender after. Surrendering is like the biggest power you can have. It's that inner control, that inner self-awareness that again, it's when we're coming from patriarchal, controlling perfectionism, like doing society, surrendering can be a weakness, can be perceived as weakness, but we'll step into that.
Yeah.
Gratitude, in fact, is such a fascinating concept to me, in that it's so simple that our brains try to trick us into saying, well, that's too easy. It's not going to work. It's too simple. And the other part of gratitude is because it's so easy, when things are going well, it is easy, to
Mhm.
write a list of things that we're grateful for, and that is perfect. But there's also a whole extension. It's more of an energy. So I talk about energy in my book, The Frequency Effect, and it's really embodying the power of gratitude. And so what I mean by that is like joy, like gratitude, like love. It is a very high, so we don't need to understand physics, but it is really a very good feeling. And so I call them gratitude rampages. So when even driving into work, like intentionally choosing, because it's so simple, your brain won't think about it when things are going well. And so it's about intentionally noticing, and so that you're constantly in a flow, in a space of joy. So no matter what's going on around you, this driver cuts you off. Isn't it amazing that I have a car, that I'm driving into work, that I can afford gas, that I can, and I'm not saying it's putting things under the carpet. I'm saying it's intentionally choosing to recognize everything you have. So you can take
Right.
a moment of rampage in your day, like sometimes driving into work, like everything I notice, the sky, the everything I just, some of the things I just mentioned, but in a very difficult moment. So spending that much time in hospital and really my child fighting for his life, you choose in those moments as well, because you can
Hmm.
change what's happening. And so what gratitude did for me and how I coach it and practice it and embody it with my family and myself is really choosing to see your perspective, because it doesn't change. Things are happening regardless. And so some
Yeah.
of the days it was very difficult to choose to try to find something to be grateful for, but it's a practice. So I intentionally would look for it. The sun is shining. I have parking because I worked at the hospital next door. The nurses are boiling water for me. We have healthcare, like anything that will take you out. So I guess what I'm coming at is it takes you out of that moment. It takes you out of the emotional. And again, we're not putting our emotions under the carpet, but we're staying in a state of, so that frequency, that what you live in, the space you live in is really what you attract back the most. So
Hmm.
in joy, if we're in gratitude, no matter what's going on. And that really started with my patients who, same diagnosis, same cancer, same treatment, the ones who see it in from a different perspective, like a new chance at life, rekindling their relationships, putting their things in order. They're choosing, they're the same cancer, but they're choosing
Yeah.
gratitude. Like, wow, isn't it amazing that I'm a get a second chance at life? And so it's using that as as a platform to bring you to the next step, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
So
yeah,
gratitude
makes
is
sense.
super powerful, but it's like anything, like the gym, you choose it. You choose to look for it. You choose, and it's easy,
Yeah.
so simple that we forget. And when things are good, we don't really think about it. And when things are bad, and so it's, yeah, trying to embody that in your every day, in every moment. And it takes a few minutes, even on your walk.
Yeah.
I didn't talk
It's
about surrendering, but you may have something you may want to take us.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, definitely. That's because surrendering is we could do a whole episode just on surrendering because that's a whole other thing, and it's hard to surrender. It really is. It's a muscle that you need to work. But you're so right about the perspective and having I call it a privilege working with people who have different points of view for the same kind of situation,
Mm,
and it really does help in terms of when you're going through your own stuff to change your outlook. And I've gone through this as well with my young ones, spending nights at the hospital. Nothing too major, just lung issues. But being in the oxygen tanks overnight, and you're just nothing is moving, and I was just boiling. Mama Bear was coming out. I was like, this is ridiculous. We've been here for hours. He's suffering. And I just was storming out of the little room we were in. And just at that moment, I saw a baby being wheeled out with a tube
break.
in his, yeah. And it just hit me. I was just like, oh, it could be so much more than what I'm going through right now. So, I'll take the tubes in the nose as opposed to the throat. And I literally just backed right back into the room and calmed down. I'm like, all right, my baby can wait. This baby needs a bit more. So it changes, but it doesn't have to be such a dramatic image. Just to start practicing, because we take it for granted when things are going well, but to start practicing when it is going well, I think is good. I wanted to ask you before we get into the surrendering though, because this kind of gives us, you mentioned it as well. again, just because we're not perfect, we are going to react. We're not going to handle things the way we're not going to be proud sometimes of the way that we handle things. You talk a lot about beginning again, starting over. And you did mention kind of reset that connection with your child. If you say, okay, I'm not too proud of the way that I reacted, but I can make it up. Um, we can't go back on what happened, but we can make it better for moving forward. Can you talk to us a little bit about how to reset that connection or how to not just with your child, but with whoever you may need to reset that connection with?
Yeah, so it's actually tied to gratitude. So that's amazing.
Yeah,
Again, where my perspective is we always want to be in the higher frequencies of joy, gratitude. We want to live there most of the time. We want most of our thoughts to be there, and you can choose
yeah,
to go there. So
yeah,
even in the beginning, again, everyone we interact with, whether it's people we know, any interaction we have is a mirror of where we get to grow. It's a mirror of where we get to our next cut, essentially. So when we're triggered, when we're in joy, like whatever's happening is really a gift, showing us where we need to grow, and or where we've grown, or where, yeah, it's a mirror, it's a reflection. And so in any moment when we are triggered, in any moment where even when things are going well, that I'm able to notice that that's not where I want to be. And so again, still being in gratitude for the beginning again, and stepping back and saying, wow, isn't it amazing that I'm choosing to become a better human? I'm choosing better relationships. I'm choosing connection with my kids, with my spouse, with my partner, and I'm beginning again. And I find when you openly verbalize that, we're all very different, of course, but when you just put that out there, the pressure, it's taking responsibility, it's taking ownership, because you're 100% responsible. And that comes to the control, the surrendering. You cannot control someone else, no matter how hard you try. Good luck with that.
yeah,
You cannot. The only thing you can control is your response, your reaction, and the way that you show up in the world. And so I find when that pressure is relieved, when you say, I wasn't my best version, I wasn't in my leadership, we say,
yes,
um, and people are really appreciate that, because it gives them permission to be vulnerable and to connect deeper and to recognize in themselves, like, okay, I'm not perfect. Wow. And especially with kids, they learn through modeling, they learn through being how we are. Words don't teach, as you know. You can repeat the same thing over and over. And so
yeah,
embodying and giving them permission to, and that's part of the growth, that's part of the gratitude, that's part of becoming the next best version of yourself moment to moment, is
yeah,
is a simple way to put it.
yeah. I like that you mentioned that we need to set the example is the way that we handle things, even when we're not handling them in a way, but what we do with it afterwards. Because we could say it 100 times, but if we're not talking, walking the talk, it creates confusion in the child because they're hearing one thing, but they're seeing another. So
Mhm.
it does create an imbalance for the children and it makes it harder for them later on to cope as well. So I like that. The surrendering part kind of falls into that as well, to let go and release that pressure and to let go. Can't control other people, even if we want to sometimes, but or the situation. Sometimes it's just the cards that we are dealt. We just have to make the best of it. But how do you I'd like to kind of actually loop my brain is all over the place right now, but you also mention or you talk about the helicopter parents, the ones that really need to control everything that's going around. So how do you move away from that with surrender, or maybe you could give us more examples? That's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, and so being obviously a parent of three, not obviously, I'm a parent of three, but my first, you want to be perfect. You read all the books, and
Yeah,
you want things to be navigated the way that you think is the best. But when we try, again, coming back to the controlling, and we cannot control every single factor. In fact, something's going to have to give. So you're going to sacrifice an area in your life. So usually the people I work with, it's their health, or their mental health, or their relationships. We cannot sustain that perfectionism everywhere in our life, always. It's an impossible feat. In fact, yeah. And so as a first parent, you want everything to be perfect, but you recognize that, wow, like something, my health, I'm not exercising, or I'm not feeling great because I'm constantly worrying or trying to do the right thing. And when it comes to surrendering, it's really coming back to what can I control and what's the purpose. So how it shifted for me is really my purpose for my kids is I'm they are their own soul. They have their own personalities. They are their own human. And so
Yeah.
my job is not to control that. My job is to give them the tools so that they can make the best decisions possible within, the realm of choices. Of course, when they're little, it's very different. We don't want them to go on the street and we're holding like it's very different practical safety things that's a very different surrendering. But when they get
Mhm.
older, like I have a 16-year-old, who's adventuring, who's going out in the world, and it's about coming back to responsibility. And I can't control what he's doing outside with his friends, and nor I could drive myself mad trying to and or holding him here and say, you can't go out. So what are we teaching them? We're teaching them responsibility and ownership. And so even if you make a mistake, like last week he had an accident with my car, it's okay. But what will you do different next time? And so working, it is the surrendering piece, but it's giving that responsibility, putting that responsibility on them, but by being it, by showing them, by mirroring that. And then that comes down to, yeah, surrendering. What can I control? My perspective, how I respond, my emotion. And our jobs is really to mostly live in joy and gratitude and being the best human that you can be in that moment. And so
Yeah. I love that
that
because
makes
it's true. It's really all, and I find that kind of reassuring in a sense when you say that all we can control is just being happy and it just takes that, it really does take that pressure off and be like,
does.
it doesn't have to be this hard. Like we can make it. Sometimes it feels hard to feel joy, but just to say, okay, I can control this. This is doable, as opposed to starting to think of all sorts of scenarios that may or may not happen and get caught up in that loop. So I really do appreciate you sharing that because
Yeah, it's
it's
so simple, but at the same time, it's so profound because we really can't control it. And so why would you spend your energy doing that? I've done it. It does not work. And
yeah,
it's a learning, it's a trajectory. It's that
yeah.
path that we all go through in different ways as parents, but you recognize, wow, there's so much I have no control over. And so it gives us the space to be to provide in a different way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, it does. And it's something that I mentioned in my book too, is it allows you to show up the way you want to as a parent. Because when, you mentioned how it was with your first child, and I think we all feel that way. We have an utopian image of what we're going to be like parents. We know what we don't want to be as parents,
Yeah.
and we have this perfect image of what we'll be as a parent. And then life happens and you realize this, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'll just be the best that I can be. But I think just focusing on those happy moments and, like you say, those teachable moments as opposed to those yelling moments, but just
Yeah.
let's work through it together. You're going to have to work things out, but I'm here to support you if you need it, as opposed to trying to do it for them, because we're not helping them at all if we're doing everything for them. So
Yeah.
I really love that approach. Before we get into the book, I do want to ask, because you mentioned that too, when you're trying to control everything and you're all over the place, it leads to burnout. We tire ourselves out. So would you have maybe a little tip or something that parents or anybody could start doing, let's say today, to move away from that so that they're not emptying their cup, they're not overdrawn in their account, and they can actually be more present with their children or with their situation that they're going through?
I love the morning, and everyone is different, and it doesn't have to be the morning, but finding something that brings you happiness, joy, that fills your cup. So whether that's a walk, whether that's a podcast, whether that's a workout, whether that's stretching, going, what a baking, like whatever brings you that joy. But really making sure that you pay yourself, I'll say pay yourself first. So in the morning or that non-negotiable time for yourself, no matter what that looks like for you, really sticking to it because you're worth it. You deserve it. And most importantly, it'll give you that space to be the best person, the best version, the best parent that you can be, partner, mom, child, all of that. Really finding the time. So we, as humans, I'll speak for myself, we'll put others' needs first because that's what a good mom does, right? And I'm not saying
Right.
we're not creating that space to be there for our kids. But I promise you, when you have that non-negotiable time for yourself, you'll feel better everywhere. You'll have that extra space to respond and you'll be able to show up as the best version of yourself. So 10 minutes or 10 hours with your kids when you're tired and not present, and that's not, I mean, we've done it. We're human. We have those moments, but when you show up intentionally and knowing like no interruptions and then we're going to be spending this time together, I
Mhm.
think I really, really have I've come to strongly believe, and I see it in my clients, but also in myself, when you have that non-negotiable time. And so to come back to your initial question, really finding that space to carve it out. And for me, it's first thing in the morning and telling your family, I need this space to be the best mom I can be. It doesn't have to be hours. It can be 10 minutes. It can be
Yeah.
15 minutes. We have this preconceived idea that it has to be like a 2-hour workout. And that if that's it, good for you. But it doesn't have to be that long. It
Yeah.
can be very short, but really intentionally choosing something for you, if that makes
That's right.
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a full spa day or a weekend retreat. It could just be I'm taking 2 extra minutes in the shower.
Consistency and every day is what I'm gonna say because it's great again, like the gratitude when things are good, great, I have time. But the minute it gets busy, you're like, ah, I'll do it tomorrow. But really paying yourself first, no matter what. And I have my morning practice, and of course it's shortened if I travel with my kids, but I still take the 2, 5, 10 minutes, no matter what, to really start my day off on say on the right foot, but in the right energy space.
And like you mentioned earlier too, it depends on the person, but that's why I like the morning as well because it sets the tone for the rest of the day. It's just like I
Yeah.
got it out of the way. Maybe it's not the best way to look at it, but it's done. I did take some time, so no matter what life throws at me today, it's already done. So
Yep.
yay, I've already accomplished something. But I also like at the end of the day, uh, for me, it's more like the self-care type of thing where I can relax and get myself ready for bed
Yeah.
so that I'm not all in my head when I'm in and thinking of a million and one things I need to do while I'm supposed to be sleeping. So I have those too, but I like to start right first thing in the morning
Awesome.
before the house wakes up so that it's done. I've already accomplished something and it just propels me for the rest of the day. Yeah, that's the way
Yeah.
I like to do it too.
The evening is a nice way as well to come back to gratitude and reflect on your day and tell yourself, okay, what can I work on for tomorrow? What, next best version of myself for tomorrow, and then also that gratitude piece.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can be grateful for in a day, even if it didn't work out exactly the way that you had planned, right? There's
Yeah,
so much to choose. So it's choosing again, it's noticing, it's intentionally creating that space.
that's it.
So yeah.
Yeah, or there's a midday. I had a friend too, a midday for her, and she was like, at least it stops me to so that I don't just keep going with the flow for the rest of the day, but just it stops me. Just okay, how has it been going so far this morning, and what do I need to course correct to make it better for the afternoon? So again, it depends on the person, but I do like that you mentioned those. It helps. It's a good start, and uh, and then you just make it your own. Whatever works for you may not work for somebody else, but what works for you, go with it. You don't need somebody's approval for it. That's what I do like. Let's talk a little bit about your book. I'm going to throw you for a loop a little bit and just ask you, was there a defining moment where that happened or something that happened to say, okay, this is the time the book needs to come out now? Did that happen to you or it just kind of naturally happened?
I think I love that question. I haven't really thought about it, but it was created, it was in me 5 years. What I mean is I've lived it for 5 years, and then all of a sudden, when things were so, I guess that defining moment would be, all right, it's time to share this
Yeah.
knowledge and recognizing when people were telling me, wow, like how did you do that? How did you look, and they would tell me, you look so joyful. Your energy, you're exuding joy. How did you do that? So then I started recognizing, okay, I get to share. And so it was birthed through me in the last 5 years, but it was really written. But interestingly enough, it was during a time where I intentionally slowed down because my son had surgery And so I was home on off, and I thought, I'm just going to take this time to connect. We're together, we're, cuddling, or um, I'm home, I have the time, and so took the summer off to do that. And so it was birthed through me in the last 5 years, all of my story,
Yeah,
my experience, but written, in 2 months or 3 months in the summer when it was time to slow down. So a full circle moment,
nice.
if that answers your question, kind of.
No, it does. I'm always curious because everybody is different. And a lot of time, what I notice with authors is the book was in them for a very long time. It's just sometimes you think of all sorts of reasons why not to write it. But I mean, we share the same publisher. So is Samantha and Samara always say, don't be the world's best kept secret. Your
Yeah.
story can help somebody. So that's why I like to ask if there was a moment. But yes, families do need to hear that, what you have to say, and to feel normal, I guess, in as unusual situation is to say, okay, I'm not the only one going through these emotions or going through these doubts or going through these
Absolutely.
turmoils. So I always like to ask that where can people put you on the spot again, but where can people get your book? It's called the Frequency Effect. Where could they get it if they want to get their hands
Yes,
on
you purchase it on Amazon, Amazon Canada, Amazon US, and it is coming to Chapters, and it is available at Barnes and Nobles already.
it?
But
Nice.
definitely Amazon is definitely the easiest place at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, it's bright yellow, so you can't miss it.
Yes.
But if you're looking at clear, oh my gosh, there we
There
go.
it is. Yeah.
And so
Can't miss it. It pops off the shelf.
yeah,
The frequency.
exactly. And that was, yeah, if you're looking to elevate your life, to transmute your energy, to really step up to the next level, moment to moment, it's not like a destination. It's very simple when you break it down. It can be realistic, practical, and life-changing all at once.
That's what I love is because there's so many things out there about your long-term goals, think big. But we need to be able, and then they say just break it down into bite-sized steps. It's like, okay, what does that look like? And that's what a book like yours does help for the everyday. It's little things that you can do to get to the big thing. I really do
Makes
like
me
it.
feel it quantum leaps, right? It's cumulative. Those tiny moments, our brains
Yes.
trick us into thinking that we need like this 7 week retreat, but every day is it really compounds, and it makes it
Ex-
most significant impact in your life everywhere.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like compounded interest, those little things in the long term just goes exponential. I just love that. Is there anything new coming? What are you working on next after give I would say giving birth to a book? After that, you're just like, okay, what now? So what now? What's going on?
Well, you'll read in my book that my baker mission is really to transform so that everyone lives their most extraordinary lives. And it, again, not doesn't have to be complex, but really bringing your life to a whole other level where you are the best human, happiest version of yourself. And so in the next 2 years, I'm committed to speaking on 100 stages. So I've already spoken on 6 or 7 stages since my
Wow.
books come out. Really elevating the frequency of the planet, and really understanding that if every single person does their work, their job, their duty, we won't have anything to worry about because every single person. So it's about acceptance, it's about love, it's about really the bigger picture of creating the world that we want to live in. And it really does start from within. It's simple, but it's possible.
Yeah.
And podcasts. And so, if you have an interesting podcast, if you feel like I'd be a great fit for your podcasts, I'm also committed to going to, I believe I said 200, but maybe it was 100, 102 years.
Yes.
And so, yes, just putting this message out there that it is possible to transform and to create the world that we want to live in, regardless of gender, race, sex, gender, like all of what the chaos in the world right now, it is really possible. And
Yeah.
not to underestimate the simple acts of kindness and gratitude that you can really change someone's perspective in life. And it's
Mhm.
never too big or small. So if we all do our share, it is really possible. So I really strongly, it's beyond me. It's a vision, it's a mission, And so that's what I'm working on.
I love it. And I love because the work that you do, it's transferable to any aspect of
Yeah.
life. It doesn't have to be on your personal, it doesn't have to be on your health or your parenting. It could be on a corporate level. It could be on a like a bigger scale. So it's transferable anywhere if you're looking at work culture or, work-life balance, all of that. It's a really nice goal. I love that. And
Yeah.
if anybody wants to find out more about your work or your book or how to reach you to book you for a speaking engagement or on their podcast, how can they do that?
Yeah, so my website, angelamothecoaching.com, you'll have all of my connections there and my social media, my email, my website. Interestingly, the last four talks have been corporate.
Yeah,
It's really bringing that energy into the workspace and perfectionism and micro resets and how we can really be so much more productive in a non-traditional when we manage our energy. And that we bring that energy home, we bring that energy to work. And so again, controlling what you can and doing
yeah,
5 million times more work in lesser time to reduce burnout and
I love it.
exhaustion and uh,
It's great for leadership roles as well. It's just, and like you said, you have to lead yourself. You have to
self
be able to lead
leadership
yourself before you
everywhere.
can lead others. So
Uh,
I just love that. There's so much work you can do with it. I have goosebumps just thinking about how far it could go. So I love that. I'll be sure to put the information in the description in the description. Sorry, I couldn't speak there. I got too excited. But so anybody who wants to refer back to get in contact or get in touch with you, the information will be there. I want to thank you so much. I could really keep you on longer, but we are going to wrap it up.
yeah.
Before we go, I do ask a question, and I can't remember if I told you about it, but I do ask all of my guests this one
Right.
question. And the question is, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, what I want to be when I grow up is what I'm doing now. I want every single person, and it took me some time to get here, and we're ever evolving. But this is what I want to do when I grow up. I want to support people in understanding that they are that bright light. They don't need any circumstances outside of them. They have that magic, that power inside of them, and they can
Mhm.
create they can literally create the world that they want to live in, have the extraordinary life everywhere, personal, health, work, every category, and live really in abundance. And so we're not competing. We are all co-creating. We're all part of that fabric, and we all have a gift. And so we're not better than others. Every single person has really a gift
I
and
love
they
that.
can bring, and that's part of also the less effort. When you have your genius, Danielle, I have my genius, we're not competing. And so understanding that,
Yeah.
wow, if I tap into Danielle's Jesus, wow, that's interesting. Genius of Jesus. If I tap into Danielle's genius, and she taps into mine, then we also quantum leap and we share. And it's about that community, that awareness, that quantum leaping and transforming the world from the space of non-ego and love and pure wanting the space to be accessible, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and that's all I'm all for it because that's the change that we need to make right now to
Yeah.
move forward and to make this world a better place is to move away from that hustling competition,
Mhm.
tearing everybody down. It's not working clearly. So yeah, there's what almost 9 billion people on this planet. There's no competition. Let's just help each other out and make it even easier for us. So I love that. I love that. I love asking that question. Thank you for playing along. I love it.
Of course, yes, I'm a big kid at heart. I did want to add actually one thing
Yeah.
for I did go deeper in my book, and there's a self-led course that I'm working on. It's almost live. It'll be on my website as well. So if you like the teachings in my book, if you
Mhm.
want to go deeper, if you want to, bring your life to the whole next level, it's self-paced, and so it's quite affordable. And you go deeper, and it's yeah your own rhythm, but it's very extremely practical and transformative. So I wanted to add that piece. That's
Oh, lovely.
what I'm working on.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely I'll add that to the description as well so people can have a look because those, especially if it's self-paced, we have such
Yeah.
hectic schedule that it's just nice when you take your morning to yourself. You can just kind of go through the course at the same time. I love it. Thank you again, Angèle, for joining me today. Like I said, I could talk to you forever. We're gonna have to go out for coffee at some point and just keep talking. I love it. And you can come back on anytime, but I do invite everybody to definitely get in touch with Angèle to book her on your podcast or for an event that you are planning because she has so much to share and it'll leave a great impact to your audience. So thank you again, Angèle.
Having me. It's been a blessing, an honor, and so much fun. I could talk for hours.
That's what I love. It's just
Yes.
when you do what you love, it's effortless, right?
It is effortless, yes.
I love that. Well, again, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And for everybody listening or watching, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. Don't forget to go check out Angèle's angles as well. I will put them in the description so you can start following her work and the beautiful things that she does. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.